So, Half-Life. It's a game basically everyone and their grandmothers know about by now. You, playing as Dr. Gordon Freeman, cause the end of the world and spend the rest of the game fighting through aliens and most of the US Special Forces while trying to undo your actions. It, and its various expansions, are all fun first person shooters, and ones I think everyone should play at least once. But what if they were all a JRPG? The Half-Life RPG, a working title, I promise, is a project that I've been working on for the past few months. It's a ground up reimagining of Half Life and all three of its official expansion packs, being Opposing Force, Blue Shift, and Decay, into the style of a classic JRPG using RPG Maker MV. I specify reimagining too because a lot of the story has been shifted around slightly to make it all work better in the JRPG format. It's still in a very early state of development. I haven't even gotten to Office Complex yet, but I'm happy with it. So let's get into some of the changes I've made, and then I'll talk a little bit more about where the project is now, and then what I hope to get finished next. This section won't give away any major plot changes or other spoilery stuff specific to the RPG, so you don't have to worry about having any huge changes randomly thrown about you and ruining your experience when this eventually comes out, God knows when. One of the biggest changes that the player will notice basically immediately is the fact that Gordon speaks. This was something I really debated over doing for the longest time when I was still concepting everything, as Gordon is one of the most famous silent protagonists in gaming. But to work with a game style more heavily reliant on story like an RPG, it had to be done. This does also apply to the other protagonists as well, which all four expansion pack characters also appear and do join the player's party. Barney has been made more visually distinct from normal security guards by making his shirt red. This was based on how his Half-Life Deathmatch player model looked, where for some reason the default color of it had this red dress shirt that I think looks very nice. Another big change are to health and HEV suit chargers, now functioning as your shops. I haven't implemented HEV chargers yet, and I don't know what the hell they'll do, but health chargers are your healing shops, where you can buy items that restore your health and MP, which I still need to replace the term for that. I'm just realizing as I record this audio file. Fuck. There is also exactly one new weapon, the Copper Pipe. It's Gina and Colette's melee weapon that works basically identically to Gordon's crowbar. Barney doesn't get a new melee weapon, because when you play as him for the first time, he already has a pistol, so he doesn't really need one. By far the biggest change, though, is to the ordering of events. The timeline has been shifted around drastically, with reason. I wanted to make it so that way there were more periods where the player's party would have more than just one person in it, so things are shifted around and don't simply happen to compensate. I'll elaborate on the plot beats that occur in Sector C, pre and post disaster, to kind of go over this and show how it works. I'm doing Sector C specifically because they're the least spoilery and the only ones I've actually implemented in game to get footage of. If you don't want to be spoiled, check the timeline. There should be a chapter marked for afterwards. Gordon, Barney, Gina, and Colette all start work as normal and go about their days usual. Not a lot's changed early on. The first change occurring when you first start to control Barney pre-disaster, when he's at the Sector G elevator, about to fix it. Instead of riding it down after fixing it, though, he leaves saying he has to go back to where he's stationed in Sector C. This means he doesn't end up falling super far down the elevator shaft and getting trapped in another part of the facility, rather being in Sector C or around it when the cascade occurs. After Gordon gets the crowbar and makes his way up that elevator, there's normally a security guard there in the original game, shooting at a headcrab zombie. This one.
Gordon, man, am I glad to see you. What the hell are these things? And why are they wearing science team uniforms?
In this, he's been replaced by Barney, who started running off to the anti-mess spectrometer to make sure Gordon and Eli were okay as soon as the alarm started sounding off when the resonance cascade occurred. They continue through Sector C together until they reach the main lobby, where they find Gina and Colette trying to get through the vent that Gordon normally uses to leave in the original. They're amazed that Barney, and especially Gordon, are, alive and everything, and then let Gordon have a go at the vent cover using the crowbar. They then venture forth together and leave Sector C into the rest of Unforeseen Consequences and the game beyond. That's really all the changes I wanted to cover here, though. All the other ones that I have, like, outlined in the massive fucking Google Doc, they're too spoilery or too rough to bother sharing. They'll probably change long before this game ever gets another devlog or comes out. So let's talk about where the project is right now and what I have implemented so far. So far, I have finished and completed 100% all of the maps and tile sets needed for anomalous materials, and then around half of the maps and tile sets needed for Unforeseen Consequences. That's it. That is all I have done. Like, fully completed. Underwhelming, I know. Nearly all of the graphics seen in it right now and in the footage you've been seeing are placeholders, with the only finalized ones being the environment graphics, which are only like 100% complete because they're just the actual textures from the game or screenshots for the more complicated things like trash cans. Anything else is more than likely just built into RPG Maker as like either a placeholder or because they work well enough to kind of get the point across, like a lot of the benches. A lot of the characters were also very shittily done by myself by taking a base character and drawing over it in paint.net. They're not good. But Gordon himself and a lot of the enemies' battle sprites are done by Zalcuz IDK, and he very graciously let me use them as placeholders until I can commission or make some finalized art. Go check out their stuff on Lambda Generation, link in the description. Thanks, man. A lot of the sound effects are also taken right out of the original game, mostly just the doors so far, but a lot of the other sounds are just placeholders that are built into RPG Maker. I do want to replace those at some point. So far, I've also only implemented four music tracks. The title theme is just the one from Half-Life's PS2 port. The next is the ambient track you can hear in Sector C, Vague Voices. Klaxon beat, of course, when you pick up the HEV suit. And then, in battles, hard technology rock. Other than those, yeah, it's dead silent. I do, of course, want to implement more tracks, naturally, something specific for after the Cascade 2, but this is where it is for now. Another thing I've done that is extremely temporary is the dialogue portraits, which are waist-up SFM renders of the character that is speaking. I opted for these over the standard face-in-a-box renders, as those ones are very restrictive. I'm stuck with a 144 by 144 pixel resolution for them, and I can't really get much emotion through compared to having a waist-up portrait that can be basically any size. The look of them is very temporary. I do want to get, like, actual art done. The reason that they're SFM renders right now is I don't know how to do pixel art. So far, this is where the project stands. It's not in a state anywhere close to being releasable. Hell, I'm hard pressed calling this an alpha when I compile builds just to save them. But I'm happy with it. So let's wrap up this devlog by talking about what I want to do with this project and what I want to accomplish. The thing I want to accomplish most of this project, other than making a fun game, of course, is to have the player traverse through the vast majority of all four Gold Source Half-Life games. Yes, all of them. Through areas from the original and all of the expansions, swapping paths between all of them in areas and spots that make sense. It's an insanely large undertaking. I'm basically remaking all four games from the ground up in a new style, and all of their enemies, elements, weapons, shit like that. It's insane. I am confident in my abilities to at least get the maps done, though. This game is a massive project with tons of things still having to be made. Remember, I've only done a chapter and a half, and I haven't even fully completed everything for them. But regardless, I'm still extremely happy with it. I'm not sure if this will ever be released. Hell, I don't even know if it'll get finished. But I hope you find it as interesting as I do. That's really all I wanted to talk about. Just to ramble a bit about the project and where it stands right now. I hope you enjoyed. Bye bye!